Hey everybody, I'm pretty excited. In today's video, I'm going to be installing the RV airflow system in our RV. I've done quite a bit of research on this over the past couple of years and excited to give it a try. We have two Coleman Mach air conditioning units in our Fleetwood Bounder, and the folks at RV Airflow Systems were nice enough through some measurements. They actually did a custom kit for us, so we're hoping that when I get these pulled down, get this installed, everything's going to fit nicely, and I'll take you along for the ride. Before we get started, let's take a look at what comes in the box. So again, they did have to make a custom kit for us because the way Fleetwood installs their ducting, the measurements, I believe, kind of vary from unit to unit. So they had us take some very precise measurements and customize this for us so everything should fit perfectly. So opening this up, we've got some instructions in here. It's pretty straightforward. We'll get into that in just a minute. We've got some, I believe, thermal tape to go on the edges. They do have some ducting tape in here that we're going to need as well. A few rolls of that, actually. And then because we have two air conditioning units, we're going to do this on both, two of the actual airflow systems themselves. So to be honest, when you take them out of the box, they don't look like much, but I have heard great things about this, so I'm excited to get ours installed. All right, so if you've never done this before, taking the cover to your unit off is fairly straightforward. You have two air filters on either side. In the case of the Coleman units like ours, you pull this down, and then inside there's actually an air filter that sits on a couple of tabs. You're just going to pop that out, and then we'll repeat the same thing on the opposite side so that we can get access to the first set of screws that we're going to have to remove. You may need to use a flathead screwdriver, or in my case, a pair of scissors to just get the edge of this down to be able to slide it out. All right, once we get that down, I've got 4 screws here on this outer plastic. It's gonna drop right down. And again, you can see it's just these 4 outside mounting brackets that hold it in place. There's going to be 4 more on this inside plate. Down that comes. Now we should have full access to everything that we need to be able to get to. All right, so here getting a little bit better of a look inside the unit. So I've already had to take this down before I placed my order so that I could get some exact measurements. So we have what's called a north to south ducting, where the ducts run from the front to the back of the unit. Most, I believe, go left to right, which their standard systems are designed for. So our kit, I believe, is going to... Okay, so full disclosure, right after I started that video, I dropped down the cover for our air conditioning unit, got inside, started taking a look around at where things were going to fit, and quickly realized I needed to do one of our air conditioners and figure out exactly how this was going to work before I could really put a video together. So I've gotten the first air conditioning unit all done. I've checked it for leaks. Everything seems good. I have a suspicion that some air is actually leaking from this unit into the cold air return for the full system. So I'm curious. I've left the cover off that one for now. I want to see, once I get this one all taken care of and sealed up, if air is still leaking into the cold air return when this unit's running and that one is not. But we're going to figure that out together. I'm going to drop the cover off this unit, show you the insides again, and we'll get started. All right, so with this down now, this slides up in, much easier, much less wiggling, and it's pretty much a perfect fit. All right, so taking a look at this unit, I had to adjust the diverter that sits between the cold air side and this vent that feeds the front of the motorhome. So I've got that adjusted, but I do want to tape it in place. I think it has a tendency to move. Once I do that, I should be able to insert the airflow system. It should sit flush against that, and then again, I'll seal it off to make sure nothing's leaking to the cold air return side. All right, we're back. So I've got everything in. I've got a couple of my bolts in my mounting bracket. I haven't snugged that up just yet. I want to give you guys a look at what the installation looks like when it's done. I did have to do a little bit of modifications on my own where the vent in the middle here met up with the air system. There was a little gap on the side, so I used some of the included foam stripping, filled that in, sealed it really good with the ducting tape, and so far so good. Not feeling any leaks or anything like that. For the record, I did decide to put these back on, thinking that it'll do a little bit to insulate from noise, and it doesn't have any effect over the airflow anymore, so why not? All right, so they're all wrapped up. A few first thoughts. First of all, you can totally tell a difference in the sound. When I put the cover on the first unit, sealed it all up, and turned it on, the first thing Zach said was, wow, that was really, it's a lot quieter. Don't get me wrong, you definitely still hear the units running. It's not like they're silent, but it's almost more of a dull, quiet sound. Number two, without having anything fancy to measure the output, I can tell you that we are getting significantly more air pressure coming out of the vents. So much so, I think we're going to have to adjust a few of them where they're pointing so it doesn't get annoying over time. But as you've probably noticed behind me, it's dark outside. I started this right after work, and it's taking quite a bit of time. Figuring things out on the first unit definitely took a little bit longer. I would say probably budget an hour and a half to 2 hours for each of your units if you're going to do this project. But overall, fairly simple install. We'll do an update in a few days after we get a chance to let the RV bake in the hot, hot sun and see if we notice any difference with how quickly it's cooling down or how efficiently it's cooling. But big thanks to Art and company at RV Airflow Systems for setting us up with our custom install for this. Really appreciate it and can't wait to see how this helps us when we get out west into some really hot temps.